Welcome back, everybody, to the Who Do You Like Here podcast. Joey Cino with you, as posted here last week. Guest handicapper Elio Imbornone. Mr. Ice is joining us here, taking in for the kid. Elio, how we doing, buddy?
I'm doing really good. Excited to be here. Excited for horse racing. I love coming on the show. I love handicapping. That's like my favorite thing to do. So I'm happy to be here.
I'm really excited. When we planned originally that we were going to have to do some substitutes for the kid who's going to be off for the month. Glad you're first to take over here and step in. Really excited about this week's handicapping. Side note, grandfather. So we're locked and loaded. Baby was born on Tuesday.
That's
all doing well. The kid and the wife are all doing well. So really excited about that. So anything we do for Saturday doesn't even matter. Don't even care, but hoping that we pick some winners here for the followers and the listeners. Make some money. I got to start making some grandbaby money. So
that's right.
Time to get a little more serious.
You get to play with the baby. You get to play with the baby and then send her back. That's what you get to do. You get to have the fun, the granddad.
Yeah, it's like having your own kid. Only when you're done, you hand them off, and the parents have to deal with them. Like, see you later. Awesome. That's why grandparents are great. So we got a lot to cover this week. We're gonna try to do this fairly quick here. I know you're busy as well as I am right now. So you have some interesting stuff I want to touch on real quick. Next week, you're going to be doing a little extra handicapping yourself in the tournament. Why don't you touch on a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I won a couple entries to the NHC tournament. I have 2 entries for next week. I actually carried them over I won one, I think, the beginning of this year, but I carried the other one over from last year. I had a million things going on, so I pushed it towards this year. So I have 2 entries. Dave and myself are going to be going out to Vegas this weekend. So excited I've done it one time. I did about 6 or 7 years ago. Very tough tournament, tons of races. It's $2 win place, like a lot of the tournaments. But I just remember I think I did it maybe in 2018. But there's like tons of handicapping. I mean, almost like I love horse racing, but I think it's like 20 something races a day. So it's a lot. But at about 1,000 entries. First prize is big. It's a 2-day tournament, Friday, Saturday, and if you're in the top, I think 10 to 15%, you move on to Sunday, and that's automatic payment. So if you make it to Sunday, you're going to get paid. So, and listen, I'm going to be out in Vegas. It's not a bad thing.
Right. Yeah. You could do a lot worse than being stuck in Vegas.
That's right. That's right.
That's awesome. Someday, that's kind of a goal. I'd love to have an opportunity to do that. You give me 20 races in a day over a 3-day period, 60 races. I think that's what more could you ask for and making money? That's just great.
I remember the first time I did it, I was just like, on day 2, I was like, oh my, because I've handicapped 10, 12, 15, but it was like, I was on race like 53 or something. Like, I don't even know. All these numbers look like, Greek to me. So, I'm excited, but it's a lot of studying.
Yeah, it's almost overload, but I'm sure you're gonna do just fine.
There's some mandatory races. I think there's like 8 to 10 mandatory races, and then you can pick like 10 to 12 anywhere. So you could do Gulfstream, Oaklawn, Santa Anita, wherever fairgrounds. Yeah. I think you can choose pretty much any of the main tracks. So. We'll figure out. I've been playing Gulfstream a lot, so I'll definitely use that. But I want to play the fields that are pretty big, like get some value, hopefully. And, I turf, obviously, probably, because usually those numbers are pretty decent. So we'll see.
Yeah. If you follow the handicap, the podcast, which I know you do, the week at Oaklawn is like just like the TNT in the cartoons. Big numbers, big prices.
Right. Huge.
It's like Turfway all of a sudden. To me, it's harder to handicap. It's wide open, and the prices are unbelievable. So if you're going low,
huge too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 13, 14 horses. Like if you're going low and you need a boost, roll the dice at Oaklawn, man.
I know. I agree. I get scared. Like I'm obviously watching it, and I get scared sometimes because these prices are so big. Not that I'm scared of big prices, but it's like how do you get to that horse sometimes? It's hard.
Yeah. If you can find something that says, yeah, it kind of made sense, I could see a possibility.
Yes.
But when you look at it and go, man, that wasn't even on my radar. I couldn't even see how to bet it.
I know.
I mean, what do you do? That's just picking a number. It's not handicapping at that point.
Tell me last week, it was either last week or the week before. You guys had a monster day. Was it last week or the week before? Because
the last 2 weeks.
Go ahead.
Last 2 weeks have been good. Last 2 weeks have been solid. Like we've been getting prices and the horizontals. Obviously, we're 4 out of 5 every week.
Yep.
We're going to rename the podcast 4 out of 5 a while back just because of the consistency that we're at. But we're going to recap last week. Last week the kid was insane. He was lights out. Like
you guys had some cold exactas too, like first, second.
Oh yeah,
like top 2 choices. Yeah.
Yeah, the kid decided to go out on a bang. He said he was going to, and he did, and he was like red hot. So that's 2 weeks in a row that he was just like really hot on his picks. We'll get into that. One more thing, I know IceCon's coming up. Obviously, if you're following along to Mr. Ice and the 300 seconds with Ice, tell us a little about what's going on for the event.
Yeah, so March 29th in Nashville. We've already got more people than we did last year.
Nice.
And Nashville has a ton of room too, so we can still get more. Where we did in Arizona, we were pretty much up to capacity last year. Just that stadium, obviously, they're no longer with us, Arizona. But that stadium was like a high school stadium or college stadium, basically. But Nashville, they're like, listen, you want 400 or 500 people? I don't think we'll get that many, but we've already got a couple hundred, and so we're looking forward to it. We're gonna have. The Barstool Bar is in Nashville, which is 3 blocks away from the stadium. So nice easy walk from the bar to the game, and hopefully we get 6 goals that day.
That's right. That's right. Beautiful. And tickets still available, obviously?
Tickets still available. Just go on my Twitter account, Elio82. You can right at the top of the page, you can buy the tickets. I think they're $84 each, and that comes with invitation Saturday for it's like a 4 or 5 hour event we have going on at the Barstool Bar. Also, we have something, a little thing we're gonna go on Friday night. That will be we'll know more about that in about a week for Friday night. But Saturday all day we'll have a good time.
Okay, sounds good. That's awesome event. If you're interested, if you're a hockey fan, I don't see why you would want to miss something like this. Last year looked really, really cool. It was lots of videos and posts from everybody that went, just having a great time. So definitely want to check that out. And I'd like to get down to Nashville regardless.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's what I said. You're worst case scenario, you're in Nashville. So that's another good spot to be, right? So,
that's right. Yeah. I'm excited. Perfect. Let's go ahead and bring in some information here. Let's go through what we're going to cover here today. We're going to recap the Fountain of Youth with Sovereignty winning that race. We are going to look at last week's late pick 5 for me and the kid and his selections, not my selections because I didn't do as well. And then we're going to handicap a late pick 5 at Gulfstream for this week on Saturday. And we'll get to the handicap. So let's go ahead and take a look at results from the Fountain of Youth. Sovereignty, your winner, number 2 here, $8.40, returning in the win column. River Thames, $3.80. Neoquist, surprisingly, a 3rd, and a very disappointing Burnham Square coming in 4th. Odds-on favorite. Burnham Square was predicted to actually win this race. Was my top selection. Just really was never into the race at all. You're almost gonna have to draw a line through this one if you're looking to keep it on your ticket on the first Saturday in May. Hopefully rebounds and has an improvement on the next race coming in, the next prep race. Hopefully,
do you think
we'll see.
What do you think is going to happen with the horse? Do you think it's going to go right, stay in Florida and run the next one
for Sovereignty?
Yeah,
it's hard to say. In my prediction, normally what do we normally see? Horses stick around and then follow up with like the Florida Derby or something of that nature. But I see no reason with where we're at in the point standings for this horse to have to go chase anything. Burnham Square, and I don't know what they're going to do with Burnham Square.
Right.
It just was such a disappointing race. I didn't hear anything back from the connections as to what was going on or what happened in the race. It just was pretty disappointing overall.
What
So
about
we'll have to see.
for Derby horses? So I have, I haven't followed as much this year. Do you have a Derby horse that you're looking forward to right now? Because I've sort of just been out of the loop as far as, getting. I know the points are, you got to win one of these races because I think 25 points probably gets you in. Is that usually what's going to happen?
On average, but so many horses drop out. We've talked about this before, actually, on a previous podcast. You have so many horses that are kind of off on the points or at that cusp on the bubble for where the point range is for the top 20. Horses drop off as we go through, unfortunately, due to injuries or what can happen. And then you've got these also eligibles that are in that can kind of get added. Now we're going to like a Rich Strike that was a last minute addition, literally, a half hour before the closing of the posts. Right. And wins the race. So it's always, for me, if we're talking Derby, it's always too early for me to give any kind of prediction. I like some of the horses that are in the mix right now that we're going to get into and take a look at, but there's nobody that I'm like dominating the factor. And I would also say there's probably more of a recency bias when we're talking about the last couple of races with the Rebel and the Fountain of Youth and how those horses look. I will never really look at the New York horses like the Gotham. I'm not really following. Everyone's talking about the California horses that figured to be dominating. And I'm just trying to stay off the conversation until we get a little more of a bigger sample size.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So while we're at it, let's go ahead and let's take a look at just the stretch run here from this race. And I'll go back here and rewind it up. The early on the turn, River Thames, the 6 who has the lead here, really looked to be in control. Johnny took the lead basically on the turn at the top of the stretch, and everybody prior there, Irad on the 7th, fading back here late, seems to be the new trend here with Irad in Derby prep races, is trying to go to the front, getting caught, and fading out the 2nd and 3rd and scrounging some points, and that's what happened here. But the big thing for me is Sovereignty. We're catching this just a little bit before the 16th pole. Okay. And you can see that the 2 is just getting in gear. The 6 still looks well in control. And then right here, the 2 is just gobbling up so much ground, just well in hand. And now I unfortunately couldn't go back and give you the whole race. But if you go back and watch that race, Sovereignty is so far back. This is going to be beneficial for a Derby horse that has to weave through traffic or make a very late move. Sovereignty was dead last, did not break well. Obviously, it's not the style, late running style. And here I just thought River Thames was my second choice. I figured, okay, I'm going to take my second choice, Burnham Square. You can see farther back, picking up some ground, but just a really straight, even race. Not much effort from the 3. So I thought River Thames ran a great race. I thought this was victory in hand right here. Just starts to get a little tired late. 2 picks him up, lays him down, and there you have your winner by about a neck. So really, really interesting when you're going into these prep races to see how horses finish every single prep race. So I'm gonna reserve on Burnham Square and Sovereignty. That definitely opened my eyes up because I think the way the race was run, and I like the track comparisons from Gulfstream to Churchill. I've always said your Fountain of Youth, your Florida Derby, those are races that always are high in my selection process when it comes to Kentucky Derby. I agree. Because I think the surfaces are just very similar, and the horses that do well in those races really tend to fire well in the Derby.
Absolutely. And I'm with you on those I don't know, I guess in New York, most of the New York horses are coming to Florida anyway. So that's what I agree with you as far as that, the Gotham and stuff like that. I'm not like too into it because I just feel like those, well-known trainers are sending their horses either Oaklawn or Florida, most likely Gulfstream.
Correct. Yeah, they just don't fare well. And listen, I'm not saying I haven't bet them. Right. Let's just back up. It's not like I haven't bet them. I bet some New York horses in my exotics for sure. Come Derby day, they just have not really fired. And I think, I'm trying to think it was on the tip of my tongue. I'm forgetting it now, but there was a horse that probably the highest I was ever on a New York horse coming into the Derby and said, man, this one probably legit has a shot. And I think wound up 15th or 18th. and it's like that's what you get. So I have to downgrade. I downgrade the New York prep race winners right away.
Well, it was like me I think from like 2015 to 2020, I bet the Dubai horses. I bet the Dubai horses every single time.
Yes.
Finally, I was like, no more. I don't care who you are.
We talked about that. I know we talked about it with you because the AAE Derby is always like that horse looks so amazing and how it runs. And it comes here and it's basically behind the New York horse, 17th, 18th.
Yes, every time. So, every time.
Yeah, we pumped the brakes. We've stopped until we get burned. Will we?
Yeah, exactly. Let them beat me, and I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with it then. Let's go ahead and bring this back. We'll move on. We're talking Derby. We might as well get into the Derby point standings here. So currently, right now, Coal Battle. That was obviously just winning 2 weeks ago here. So all these are like more top of the top of the leaderboard is really more recency bias with Sovereignty there as well. Citizen Bull, Flood Zone Journalism, Getaway Car Built. Listen, obviously we've still got the California horses that everyone's talking about. And listen, I can't say I'm going to deny California horses are going to be anywhere near probably going to be the odds-on favorites that everyone's talking about. I can only go with so much California racing right now until it gets later. I've got to see something else. Because the way they're talking, it's like it's a 2-horse race already, and the other 18 don't even matter.
Yeah.
So it's way too early to get into, any kind of talk about, Derby Day. So
yeah, and the fact that it's March 6th, we could probably have about at least 5 or 6 big races before that. So yeah,
probably like 9 or 10.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, but it's nice to talk about it. It's like talking about football playoffs halfway through the season. It's like, talking about March Madness after, 10 the conference games haven't started and you think your team's going to be great until they play conference. So it's early. We're going to hold off on the reservations on that. We will cover the picks from last week. So like I said, kid last week, pretty much unconscious here. Had back-to-back winners in race 10 and 11. Race 12, his 8 just missed winning, actually came in second. So he went winner, second, and then winner. And then we both blanked in the last race, putting our pick 5s to bed here and giving us
that was that long. I remember it. Now it was a 3-horse. That
it was a 3-horse.
It was like 20-1 or something.
It made the pick 5.
Yeah. Was it Johnny V? I think it might have been Johnny V.
Johnny V. Yep. Johnny V and I have this relationship where if I need him, he doesn't win. If I don't need him, he wins. It's almost like the IRAD factor for me is if I toss him, he's dominating. If I have him in there, he's nowhere to be seen. So becoming my nemesis, my Lex Luthor here of horse racing. But kid had a great week and vertically great, horizontally, once again, a 4 out of 5, but it is what it is. We move on. I digress. We're looking at greener pastures here, moving into the handicap for this week.
Let's go.
And Gulfstream's the place. And I know that's your bread and butter. It's where you feel most comfortable. I love Gulfstream. Usually we don't venture away from Gulfstream in our podcast over the championship meet, but we have to follow some of the prep races, so we tend to do that. But this week, I'm comfortable being right here in the Sunshine State. We are going to cover the late pick 5 as usual. So races 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 from the Saturday card. Weather looks to be good. I know that everyone's getting rain, and up north here we're getting snow and crap, but it's Florida. If it rains, it's going to stop raining. It'll dry out. So I think we've got 1 turf race, I believe, on the sequence. We just double check here.
2.
1 turf race. 2. Yep. Second and the last leg. Hopefully they stay on. But honestly, in looking at the card, if they take it off, I think you can handicap just about the same. There's nobody that I'm looking at that, if this race is off, could actually bump up in my ticket. I think I'm universally handicapped no matter the surface, if it goes to PETA or where it goes to. So let's start it off. We'll go ahead and start this pick 5. Obviously, we're going to let you go first here. So we are race 7, 1 mile. That's optional claiming 25,000, purse of 96,000. Condition, it's for fillies and mares 4 years old and upwards, which have never won 20,000, other than maiden claiming starter or restricted, or which have never won 2 races or a claiming price of 25,000. It is your floor, sir. Elio, who do you like here?
So I am going with the one horse, Cruise to Catalina. I really like this horse. Actually, the horse was as a 3 year old was unbelievable. What 3 for 4 with a second. I
Yep.
think that the first time out, I really don't know. I watched the race. It didn't do much. It was one of those times you just maybe after a little bit of a layoff, just sort of shot a blank because the way this horse ran the first 4 times out, it was just and you know what? I'm a fan of Junior. I'm a fan
Yeah.
of Alvarado. Obviously, this meet he's been better, but I've always been a fan of his, and I think he's really starting to shine right now. I think what Jose is not there. Ortiz is Jose in Oakland or I don't think
Jose's
Jose.
at Fairgrounds.
Fairgrounds. Okay, I'm sorry, Fairgrounds. Um, so he's got a little, probably a few more mounts than he would have had if Jose was here. But
Yeah.
I'm in race 1, in race 7. I am, and these are actually pretty hard, tough races.
Yeah.
I'm 1-5 in this race.
Okay. Yeah, Jose going to first off, Jose going to Kentucky. We talked about this, me and the kid. Jose going to Kentucky, best movies ever made career-wise, I think, in my opinion. Going to the fairgrounds, it's definitely he's getting everything and anything that's coming his way,
Yeah,
which is super exciting. Super exciting to see him be successful. I think the kid had to get out of his shadow of his brother, and that's hard to do
yeah,
because they're both so competitive. But now you get to see how good he really is. Um, in capping this race, yeah, they're all tough. These other than races are always tough. The
yeah,
conditions that are so vague and put you out to so many opportunities, it's difficult. I do like the one. I did go to the 2 here, which is here's the kicker. This is Luis Saez and Safi Joseph Jr. teaming up. Not the most combinations at this track, surprisingly, for them to team up. Usually, Irad's getting a lot of Safi's opportunities, sprinkles with a few other jockeys. But what I like about this is that we are stretching out a little bit in a horse that first time out for the year ran pretty solid. I know it was optional
yes,
claiming 16, but moving up in class just a bit, ran 25-2 back at the end of last year and ran pretty well. Just kind of missing that last little piece. Now, as a 3 to 4 year old, I like Liam's map horses that get older, going to 3 to 4. And the workouts on February 21st, 35-4 is fantastic. And I love the 47-3 for 4 furlongs on February 28th. So the work tab is really strong. I like the combination here with Louis and Safi on a horse that probably going to do well, stretching out just a little bit further here and going that route. So gave a nod to the 2 here, going back to optional claiming 25. And I did take the 1 as my second choice. And here's the thing. I don't know how to look at this. Is it the first time out for 2025 that was just like, let's go out and just give it a whirl? Because this horse, I expected more. It was 3 to 1 basically. First time out for the year. Favorite last time out, winning last year. So maybe it was just the 1. Let's see how it does this year because the speed
right,
figures coming in were fantastic. Now, maybe it's also because it went from running against state breds to open company. So I kind of downgraded the 1 slightly, or maybe it would have been my first choice on that note. Because if it is against, maybe this horse is just a dominator in state breds and can't work well against horses from Kentucky or outside. If that's the case, we're going to find out on Saturday. But I'm just going to scratch it off and say first time out for the year, the layoff, since October. The workouts coming in are great: 48-2, a 48-4, and a 48 flat on February 26th coming in. So the 1 is my second choice, but not by much. And I'm also going to throw the 4 in here, Broderie, which I don't know. The speed figure for this horse last time at 94 was a very mind-blowing kind of number
yeah.
for a horse that's really been just typically low 80s. So I don't know what to think about that. You're getting a career best. I think it's going to possibly hit the board. That's why I've got it in here.
Yep.
Fernando Abreu is a great trainer, and he's really doing well. Paco does well in these kind of races, in these other than. So I don't want to leave it off. It's been running optional claiming 25 condition the last 2. We'll see if it makes a difference here. So I did take the 2 on top with the 1 and the 4. So we're really close here. I think Cruise to Catalina, I don't know. We're going to see if it's open company or if it's actually just the first time out for the year.
Yeah, I agree. I love those workouts for the 2. I didn't notice that. That's a good pickup. That's sharp. That horse, first time off the layoff, runs well, and now maybe ready.
Yeah. When I see an even keel, never more than 4 lengths off, closed into 2 lengths, but didn't hit the board, and it was with an 80 speed figure. I mean, let's improve on that second time out for the year with some nice workouts, sharpening up. It's funny because if you talk to trainers, you'd probably be like, we've said this before, they always want to win, of course, but sometimes you're just putting in a horse in the race to experiment, or just maybe it's a glorified workout and maybe we can get a tag on the price, gets her back into race form. We're going to see. She's the grade 2. So if you're with Dave, you're probably going to bet it. So it really doesn't matter.
That's right.
Let's go on to the eighth race. Eighth race, a mile and a 16th. This one's on the turf. Optional claiming 75,000, condition, a purse of 96,000. For fillies 3 years old, which have never won 20,000 other than maiden claiming starter or restricted, or which have never won 2 races, or a claiming price of 75,000. We got another one of these other thans, and the rail's at 17 feet, so they're extending it out here, obviously. Where are you at here? Who do you like in this race, Elio?
So I liked my top pick was the 2 Origami. That horse, first time in California, ran a steady third. I always feel like horses like that coming over from, I think where that come from, Ireland, I feel like they need a race. And we were talking about workouts before, and 57-2, I don't think I've seen one that low in a while. That workout, February 23rd at Prairie Meadows. So that I really like that horse. Plus the pedigree on this horse, I thought would be he ran the mile at grade 3, first time out over here. Ran a solid third, seven horses. Another horse I really like is the 8, and that morning line was 15-1. Brendan Walsh. You can't throw out Brendan Walsh ever. That horse won in Keeneland, not a huge number, but as a 2-year-old, I like that. Ran a couple times, and first time out as a 3-year-old, I think can improve a lot. So 1-8 are my top 2 selections. I like
that. It's a really tough race. 2-8. Yep, it's a really, really, really tough race. Again, another other than that makes it really, really difficult. The 8 breaking its maiden there, obviously at $100,000 last time out, and now getting Lasix for the first time, and has only been strictly running routes since the start, a mile, and a mile and 1/8. Obviously we're not changing anything here. Still going a mile and the 16th this race. There's a lot of horses that you want to pay attention to, just like that 8. The 2 is a very good horse, and I'm going to get into that as my under selection, but I am going to swing just in the middle of the pack. I'm going to go with Rare Art, the 6, Johnny V. For Anthony Dutrow. Again, another horse, first time Lasix, as many are in this race. Another horse that's running considerable routes from the start. 4 races at a mile and the 16th. I would almost call this horse a distance specialist because that's all it knows. Also broke its maiden at $100,000 at second asking. And then they put her in the Miss Grillo. And listen, I'm not mad at the race. 5th by 3 lengths is not something I'm going to be disappointed with. And when you look at that race, you know exactly why this horse lost. Rosario took her to the back and just like he normally does, and came too late and didn't hit the board. Davis, different scenario. Saez, different scenario. Johnny V, again, he's my nemesis. I'm going to put him on top. We'll see if he comes through here. But I like the opportunity for Rare Art in this race, and I think the Lasix actually is going to help this horse just a little bit, as it missed last time out in a non-graded stakes race, $150,000. Now, that being said, I also like your 2 Origami. There's a lot to like about this horse. Another Lasix first time added. And like you said, coming out of the grade 3 at Del Mar, not a bad race at all. And it's got a little bit of a rest, and I like the workout coming in. 57-2 on the turf, February 23rd. That's a nice workout. I love Javier Castellano. He's one of my favorite jockeys. And when he teams up with Jack Sisterson, it's usually something special. They don't team up that often. So I'm definitely going to keep the 2 on the tab in the verticals. I am going to throw the 7 underneath here, right next to Rare Art, which is Sashay Away. This is Junior Alvarado again for Brandon Walsh. Not only is this, the daughter of Curlin, but the other thing here too is that this horse is pretty consistent in how it runs its races, and it will sit in that mid-pack to late pack form. I tend to like turf horses on that late kick. She's got a really nice late pace figure on most of her races. The numbers haven't been great speed figure wise, but she is getting the blinkers on this time, which I think is going to help improve, maybe keep her to task a little bit. So underneath, I do like the 7. Yep. And then I also want to throw the 9 on any of my verticals. This is Enel. This is Joe Bravo and David Carlos. The thing here is that it took a while to break the maiden. They tried everything with this horse, turf to dirt, back to turf. Finally, this year, I don't know what the difference was here. If it was just maybe the time off, or maybe the workouts that were going into that race were pretty decent. But on January 8th, breaks the maiden. They follow that right back up with a similar race, only going a mile. Optional claiming 75,000. Same race as this, just missed last time out. So another off the pace horse. I think they're going to try to keep this horse somewhat close, but maybe second tier. Never going to be. I should not be threatening like it has previously, pushing the pace. I think it just needs to sit off a little bit, try to get that 49.5 and steal it coming home. So the 9's more of a value, I'd say, maybe than the 7. So, but I'm going to go 6-2. I'll say 9-7 maybe as my options here for the underneath.
Yeah, that 9. I've just sort of noticed that 9's really improved the last 3 races, huh? I mean, this is a big difference.
Yeah, once they got the turf, right? I mean, they tried turf, and that was right at Indy, and just you kind of got to look at where the thought process was. As soon as Rudolph let the horse go to Carlos David, he obviously changed gears here and said, okay, we're gonna try something different. We're going back to turf, and he is one of the better turf trainers that you're going to get at Gulfstream Park. So, in good hands in the barn, and Joe Bravo. It's funny because I haven't seen Joe Bravo as much. I know he's been at Gulfstream Park, but I can't remember. I don't know if he shipped out or he was doing somewhere else. But I just haven't seen him as often.
No, I haven't.
So we'll find out. Hopefully he's back and fresh and ready to go. Let's move on to race 9. Race 9 is 7 furlongs. It is a optional claiming 20,000, purse of 54,000 for state breds. This is a state bred race for fillies and mares. 4-year-olds and upwards, which have never won a race other than maiden, claiming, or starter, or which have never won 2 races or a claiming price of 20,000. So we're not going to get away from these other than optional claiming races. It's just not going to happen. Good part here is that it is state bred, so you have a little bit of an option to see how horses run against those within the state of Florida. Okay, Elio, show us the way here.
All right, so I like the my horse. I had one horse. I had the 5 horse Cajun Fantasy. I really, he's coming out of 5.5 furlongs or 5 furlong races, and I thought he was going to be like, he wasn't super up front in those races, but obviously being a little bit further, I think 7 furlongs now, he's going to be sort of close up. I thought there's going to be a lot of speed here, and I thought he could sit off, 2-3 lengths back and make one little run. He's 5 for 19 out of. He's 5 for 19 at about a 4 or 5 to 1 price. So I think there are going to be some shorter numbers, maybe with the 1. But I'm taking 5 at around 5 to 1.
Yeah, it's a nice price on the 5. To be honest with you, it's in a race like this, you think you got to try to find some value here. I couldn't agree with you more. Like, I don't know who's actually going to go to the front in this race. There's a few that seem to want to go to the front. This was a very difficult one to handicap. If I'm doing horizontals here, man, I'm peeling back the ones I think don't have a chance and kind of playing the Allberger as much as possible.
Yeah.
This is the race that will bite you in the ass, I think. But we'll see. I went to the 1. I just didn't get off the rail with Defended. Horse is really, really moving up in class. But in a race like this, I feel like form is outplaying class in this race.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a chance here instead of horses that are normally in that range that are performing at a decent level. I'm gonna try to go with who's just got the hot hand right now. So I'm gonna go with the Defended, the 1 here on top. Tough choice here, but Leonel Reyes been getting them out pretty consistently here since the end of summer last year on this horse. Yeah, the class drop is really, it's really been nothing here. 8,000, 16,000. But the speed figures have been improving, 75, 76, 83. And the horse seems to be getting better as time goes on here. And yeah, I've been looking back here for state bred races, 4th 2 times on June 2nd and March 31st of last year. And those were at 20,000. So it's basically the same kind of races. If you look at June and March last year, the horse didn't run bad, was sitting there 2nd and 3rd. I just think you're getting a little more consistency with the jockey. You're getting a little more condition here. The horse seems to be performing better. So I'm going to roll the dice and think that what I'm seeing on paper recently is going to transfer to the state bred race that it's going back into. But a tough call on that. In no order whatsoever. I think the 3 Timely Reward has another opportunity. Last time out, optional claiming state bred at 7 furlongs. Just missed on a pretty just steady effort. I think that 5 Cajun Fantasy is a very sexy when it's on off the synthetic. So getting back to dirt, I think, is a plus. And you definitely want to have, Yaramio with a possible ability to be on the front or on the lead. He's one of the best gate men, and a really great race on August 11th on State Breds. Your 6, Singing Sandra, makes another one that makes a lot of sense. Optional claiming State Bred last time, 20,000 conditions, same as this last time out. Second by 7 lengths. Only problem there is that was just really passing tired horses, really wasn't gaining on the leader as much. But still, if you got some guts at the end of the race, I'd like to see that in a State Bred race. And I think the 7 also, Amy the Butcher. First time out for the year, workout coming in, 46 flat for 4 furlongs. This is a horse that likes to be near the front and has some decent late pace figures. Last time out on September 7th, that was a State Bred, really didn't show much, but I think the horse was done prior to that. Probably should have put the horse on the shelf maybe in June, which they did, but maybe brought it back too soon. I'm glad they gave it the rest. But that 46 workout shows me the horse is ready to go.
Yeah.
So let's see if that 7 can give us some prices. We'll see. We can move right on to the 10th race, 6.5 furlongs. It's a grade 3 Hurricane Birdie. First off, didn't know there was a stakes race, grade 3 for the Hurricane Birdie, but grade 3 Hurricane Birdie, purse of $165,000 for fillies and mares 4 years old and upwards. We're in leg 4. Hopefully we are 3 for 3. We're looking to either start singling because we got a big spread in that last race. Where are you at? Who do you like?
So I like the 2-horse into Champagne. This is again a really tough race. There are a lot of pretty good horses here. Reason being is this horse first 3 races ran really well. And then, what a lot of trainers do, they try to stretch the horse out and they try to, get him into some of the bigger races, which I get it. I do the same thing. But it looks like he didn't want to go that far. First 3 races of the horse's career, 1 at 2, 1 at 3, first time out. And ran those shorter races and, was like I feel like a different horse. You get a nice layoff after the Oaks where obviously something went awry, but the workouts are unbelievable. I think, 6.5 furlongs is perfect for this horse. Especially going from 3 to 4. They obviously had a lot of high hopes for this horse. So I'm taking Into Champagne, and there's a couple, like the 1 horse is unbelievable. I mean, 6 for 7. You love horses like that, but you also got to play against them. Hopefully Into Champagne morning line is around 4 to 1, but people are going to bet Nick Style, the 1 horse, which I understand why they would, but that's where I think you might get some value into Champagne.
I think you're right. I mean, people are going to question the layoff and what they're going to see first time out on the 2, and you probably are going to get a little better price, but it was the Kentucky Oaks that this horse ran in, and I couldn't agree with you more. When you've got a great horse that's running 6, 7 or a mile, and you're trying to push and condition a horse to go run in these big graded stakes races, I know the appeal's there, the money's there, the run going is exciting. You just you got the points, you can get in, and third in the Gulfstream Park Oaks gets them in. They're all excited. God bless them. But best thing they did was putting this horse on the shelf afterwards and reconditioning it back to get into a sprint, which makes a lot of sense here. I like that they're easing it into a grade 3. So Into Champagne makes all the sense. 59 flat workout for 5 furlongs on the 28th of February. Love that immensely. This should be my top pick, but I'm going to go with your counter pick, Nick Style, because I just can't get away from the Alvarado Mock connection every time in these grade 3, grade 2 races, these bigger races. They always come together and they always perform well. And I'm a huge fan also of Junior Alvarado. And what's not to like? 92 speed figure last time out on a $100,000 non-graded stakes race at Tampa. This horse is shipped to, Gulfstream Park, to Saratoga, to Belmont and Aqueduct, to Tampa. Shipping's not a problem. Finally coming back home to where it probably feels it's best to be, which is at Gulfstream Park. It's 2 for 2. I can't go away from the distance specialist in this race that seems to be just fitting the bill for everything. Everywhere I itch, this is scratching. I'm going to take the 1. I'm going to take the 2. I'm probably going to keep it in that order, and I'm probably going to go high in a trifecta with the 4 underneath, Edgar Zaya, Saffie Joseph Jr. This is a horse that's going to go flash and fade, but definitely has the ability to hang on for 3rd, so we'll not leave that off the ticket underneath. And Spirit Wind. Spirit Wind's been running nothing but non-graded stakes races, has dabbled in some grade 2s. If you look back here, all of last year, basically was just missing the wire, kind of just was mismanaged, in my opinion, from where it was running in those earlier races in 2024. But nonetheless, finished off the year in December 21st with a win in a non-graded stakes race, 150,000, good 88 speed figure, and coming in with a 47-1 for 4 furlongs. Definitely going to be sitting a stalking trip and looking for a steal of the race if the pace heats up top. And I think this one has the ability to do it. But I can't get away from the 1 and the 2. That's where I'm going to stay. I'm actually going to probably 1-2-4 to 1-2-6, $5 straight trifecta. Ain't going to pay much, but I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, these horses, they're all like, 5 for 6, 8 for 16, like really,
Right.
they've been put in pretty good spots. So yeah, this is again another tough one.
Yeah, this is a trainer race because you got to just almost look at it in that nature, because the horses are all competitive. They're all good. I wouldn't be surprised on anybody who wins. It's who's positioning themselves in the best spot to win this race, because it seems like they've all been doing a great job of getting the wins when they need it and putting the horse in the right position. We're going to wrap up this pick 5. Let's go ahead to the 11th race, last leg, mile and the 16th on the turf. Optional claiming 35,000, person 38,000 for 3-year-olds, which have started for a claiming price of 35,000 or less, or which have never won a race other than mating or claiming price of 35K. Last race here. Give us the lock of the week.
Lock. Yeah, the lock is, I'm taking the 4, Sugar Buzz. I really like the last 3 races of this horse. Second by a neck, and then he won by a neck. I know he dropped down a little bit for that race, but I love these horses in good form, these turf horses. I feel like they can stay on for a while. The workout coming in here is very good. I love the fact, I like horses like this that are like 2 or 3 lengths off the lead. And make one run. They put themselves in good position, not too far back. Johnny V has been riding very well. Sugar Buzz at 8-1 in a race where I think there are a lot of horses that can win, but when that's the case, I usually like to take a little bit of a number, just because, I think it's, within percentage points of, a 2-1 or a 3-1 and an 8-1, I'd rather take the 8-1.
Yeah. I like it. Anything underneath, or is that your top lock?
Yeah, that's my pick.
Okay. I'm not mad at it, because I think you're going to have to narrow the ticket down if you're looking for any kind of horizontals. Right. I do like the 4 a lot. I think that, it switches over to a barn that isn't winning a lot of races. However, I think this is a race that it actually fits in really well. Mile on the 16th, just broke its maiden last time out. Looks to be in decent form in 2025, a second and a first. So scratch what you saw last year at Woodbine. I think just the change over here and going to the turf and Gulfstream is really doing wonders for this horse. It's really in a good position. And then, Laura Cazares here, first after the claim, is 18% win, 50% in the money. So the 4 makes a lot of sense. And I definitely have the 4 on my underneaths here. It wasn't my top pick, but I wouldn't be surprised. I probably still have to spread in this race a little bit. I had to go all the way to the outside to find the horses that I really like better than the 4. And that's the 11, Dreams of My Father. I'm taking the 11 because I had it last time out, and it really was never even in the race. It got bumped. It just was in tight, never had a shot. If this horse doesn't break out on top, you can just go ahead and rip up your ticket. It's not going to come from behind. It has to get to the lead. It has to be near or at the lead to have a chance. So I'm going to put a little risk here. Second time out here that Jose DeAngelis and Javier Castellano, they're going to make this magic happen and get this horse out the gate, and then take their chances there at the top. So I'll take the 11 on top. I think right next, the 12 is going to be doing the exact same thing. So you got 2 horses on the outside, Buchero's Dude, Miggy Vasquez. This is a horse that's stretching out on a horse that likes to go ahead and take the lead. Broke its maiden at first asking, and then followed up with a abysmal 6th place finish into 75,000. They're dropping down now to 35,000, probably a little better condition here on a horse that definitely has the ability to break out and go to the front. 47-2 workout for 4 furlongs. That was on February 26th. So the 12 is definitely going to get the jump. The 11 needs to go with it. The 2 of them need to cross over and be at the front for me to have a chance on my final leg here. I do have the 4 for everything that you said as well. I just love everything about what's going on with Sugar Buzz. Like I said, makes a lot of sense. My last but not least choice here, I do like I'm Due, the 5. This one is for Kent Sweezy. They're putting the blinkers on this colt finally, and thinking they're going to get a little bit of a change here. The Lasix has definitely helped. That's the last 2 races improving, 79 figures both last 2 times. I think the blinkers might actually give an additional little bump. And I think that's what they're going to need to go ahead and be successful here. And I'm not mad at 48-2 on a turf workout on February 2nd. That's prior going into that last race. So I know the horse likes the surface. It's ran good on the surface. I would have liked to seen another work. In the meantime, nothing published. Doesn't mean they didn't go out and do something. Right. But I'm due just makes a lot of sense in my mind. At least hit the board. Great opportunity here. First time blinkers, 31% hitting the board for Ken Sweezy as well. So that's my underneath. That's the late pick 5. I like everything that we did today. I like everything that we've covered as far as our picks. And I think we can keep the ticket pretty slim this week, Iceman.
Yeah, so the funny thing is, like, I'm usually on for some of the bigger races, but I feel like even these 5 are pretty good. Like, there's a lot of horses that can win. Like 3 or 4 horses in each race. I think that have a real shot, and that's what makes if you can get 1 or 2 of them some value, because if you're not playing the short ones, you can make a score.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I almost like the underneath cards a little bit sometimes, because I think on big race day, it's so much hype, and I feel like it can either be really chalky and you're really not making money on a day like this. Like, there's really no focus on Gulfstream Park. They'll focus on other tracks. The handle will probably be an average than what it normally should be. I think you just get some more value here, and it's just almost like it's just a more interesting from a wagering perspective to try to get your money back and improve your odds of winning bigger. So I love it. I like everything about it. Like I said, that's your pick 5, Iceman. Listen, I want to thank you, obviously, for picking up the slack here and helping us out. Always a pleasure every time you join the podcast with us, for everything you do outside of the podcast as well. It's always appreciated. Like we said earlier, IceCon's coming up. Be sure to get your tickets. That'll be out there shortly. You're going to have to post some information. I will say this. I'm going to criticize you. I'm going to give you a little criticism.
Yep.
People need to take criticism in order to grow, right?
My wife gives me a lot of it, so I'm used to it.
and you've grown probably in her eyes, I'm sure. You've got to share more on X. Every time, big race days, your tournaments, I don't care if it's Florida Derby, if you're at the Kentucky Derby, doesn't matter where you're at. You start out, I like the 6. Race 1, having a big day. I like the 6 all day. Let's get it. And then the second race you missed, third race, maybe you post something, and your demeanor's like, we didn't hit. But I like the 4. We're going with the 4. And then there's ghost. There's nothing.
No, there's two issues. One, lately I've been in those like contests on track. So I'm like always thinking, if I give up my pick, they're going to play again. Like, that's if the public plays my pick, from 4-1 to 2-1, if it goes down a little bit, am I going to lose in the tournament? So I know I got to do it. I'm always, Dave always makes fun of me. Like, I know I gotta go throughout the day. That you're right. That is a constructive criticism. I need to be better. And I also say my second thing is the internet. And what these tracks on the big days, it stinks, but mostly my fault.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's hard. It's difficult to do it. The internet and the connections always suck.
Yeah.
Definitely. But there's got to be, even if, I don't know, maybe you have to have a proxy. Like, maybe you need to send it to your producer, like do the video on your phone, then send it to them in a text and let them post it on your page.
Yeah, that might be the thing. If I have all the races, sometimes it's a late decision, but no, I agree with you. I got to be better than that. I used to be much better. Yeah. And then I would get into these tournaments and I'm thinking to myself, should I give out the picks? So you're right. That's constructive. I get it.
Yeah, the old adage, oatmeal's better than no meal. So I'll take all your losers than not getting any content.
Yeah,
that's and you're going to have winners, and that's the other part.
You're right.
Listen, again, I want to thank you for coming on here. I want to thank all the listeners, obviously, and the followers here for joining us this week for the podcast. Next week, we'll have Joey Stats coming back. That'll be a nice little bonus here. Old podcast host coming back into the fold here for us and stepping up for, I guess, handicapper next week. Until then, for myself and Mr. Ice, Thanks again for tuning in. And until next week, see ya.